Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I think you already know by now that Wednesday is like the happiest day of my life. So thank God it's called Wellness Wednesday. And welcome from all over the world. For those of you just joining us today for the first time, first of all, please keep coming. And secondly, this is Wellness Wednesday, and what that just means is that we pick a day once a week, we celebrate our health, we pay attention to health. We actually do fasting from morning till about 6 p.m. and then we break with water, vegetables and protein. We go very light, and some people actually do a 24-hour fast just to pay that much attention. We've talked about the health benefits of doing that in other programs, and we will still bring them up in the future. So stick around and welcome to the program. Before we go too far, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Susanna Adam. I'm your favorite and most loved health and wellness friend and coach and lover and everything. And I'm really happy to be with you today. So today I'll quickly introduce my topic. The topic is, let's talk about fat. F-A-T, fat. And wait a minute, is not what you're thinking about. Yes, when you hear the word fat, sometimes people that are bigger, they're like, oh my God, that's a This is about fat that kills. This is about fat that you may be celebrating, but is slowly taking your life away. I will start with a mini story, and it's about two clients that came to our Worcester 2 office. That was way back in 2016. Oh my God, that's like 10 years ago. 2016, just before we moved to our HQ in legislative quarters. We were in Worcester 2, and now we are all over Nigeria, mostly online, and we have some physical presence everywhere. So the lady came with a friend. There were two ladies, and one of them was kind of like, in quote, really big, and the other one was really skinny. So the big one, they decided to do their blood work because we start everything with a comprehensive lab test. So we took their lab samples, and when the result came out, they both came to do their result review together. Oh my goodness, the skinny, smaller person's cholesterol, triglyceride, everything was to the roof, with even inflammation. It means she was just days or weeks, maybe months from a stroke or anything, all the bad things that fat's doing. And then the other big one, the cholesterol was normal, all the fats were normal. And you know, since I was just overly getting too close to the practice and paying attention, I'm like, wow. Well, because that was the first time I'm seeing it side by side, closely, and I'm like, I need to pay attention to this. And then I later found out that we had in the clinic more skinny people with high cholesterol and fats that kill than even the people that think they are so huge and fat. Please, let me clear an impression. For those of you that are maybe too big, I think your problem mostly is actually more cosmetic. And it should be, no problem. Everybody wants to feel good and look good and wear, girdles and stuff. But don't feel so bad, because the person you may envy, I want to be and look like this person, may actually be the person with the biggest problem. So that being said, that's not to say that if you're on the big side, you should not check your numbers. So today we are talking about the fat on the inside, the fat that kills. That's my focus. Another day, if I decide maybe to do a part 2, then I'll talk about cosmetic fat. How to lose belly fat, how to just look really good. So for today, we'll start with internal fat. Definitely a bit on the external fat because they go hand in hand like brothers and sisters. So the topic is on fat. So this presentation is for everybody. So if you're on the big side, you have something to get from this presentation. If you're on the small side, you have something. If you're a child, this childhood obesity is on the rise. Our children are just getting very huge, and you need to be here. And because of the childhood obesity, there's a lot of juvenile diabetes, things are happening. So let's just understand what could be killing you while you think you look good, one, or what could be killing you and you don't even know. So we are going to talk about fat, F-A-T, or let's say fat loss. So welcome to the program. Now, what's the objective? My core objective, by the time I'm done with this presentation, I would like you to understand what is, fat in just layman's term, what is fat all about, and then also how to keep the secret fats off your body. So those are the two. If I achieve those two things, I'll be very, very happy. So let's visit fat. So first of all, what is fat? What is this fat all about? So there's I don't like getting too technical, okay? So I'm just gonna talk about what is fat all about. So let's not even go to the definition, because if I can go get details, if you want to go even in the cholesterol part, we'll talk about what is cholesterol, total cholesterol, what is visceral fat, what is triglyceride, HDL, LDL, fat, oh my goodness, from here to there is fat. But let's be friends. This is a friendly evening and we are just hanging out. So let's start from here. So every time you eat, the body does a couple of things. One of the things is the body will try to drag out the carbohydrate component of what you're eating, send it in for energy, okay? I think we all know that. But then if the carbohydrate you've just eaten does not get used up, it gets stored as fat so that in the very near future you can use up what was stored, okay? I'm oversimplifying. All right, so that's on one part. The second thing is that why is this fat stored? So it's stored so that if you ever starve, that fat will be broken down for you to use that fat stored as energy. So this is how the body just works. So naturally, when you eat, whether it's fatty food, any calorie that you take into your mouth, the body has a tendency to convert the calories and store them for you as fat. So basically, you're a fat generator. Whether you're fat or not, everybody's body is doing that. So you're generating fat and you're storing the fat so that you will use it when the body does not have food or calories, when you're starving. Now, the first question is, when did you starve long enough? You've been eating and accumulating, whether it's showing or not, eating and accumulating. So when did you starve long enough for you to assess the fat that was stored for you should you starve? When did you starve long enough? So there's so much food. Yes, I know that a lot of people don't have food to eat, but even a little, okay, let's say you've had breakfast, and then before 12, or maybe let's say your lunch is at 2, between your breakfast, whether 8 or 9 a.m. and 12, if you've had groundnuts or garden egg or anything caloric, automatically that particular day you did not visit your stored fat, because you've not given enough room for that fat to wake up. Now, you now have lunch. Most of the times it's high carbohydrate, high fat, little meat. Of course, you on this platform, you're doing it the right way, but majority of all clients that we have coming in, they do it the opposite way. That's a lot of carbohydrate, little meat, and they're happy about that because that was our upbringing. Now, there's always a dinner. Maybe from 2 p.m. till about 6 or 7 p.m. dinner, maybe you see small chin-chin, maybe little meat pie or anything. So I want to tell you that anytime something goes into your mouth, that very moment, the fat store where the fat is stored that should have been converted into energy is locked up. All right, let's talk about the fact that if you're not deliberate in two things, first in how much fat you store and how much fat you use up, you will always have excess. So that's it, you will always have excess fat, whether it is showing or not. Now, one thing I have to bring up front and very earlier on is that no two persons are the same. So it means we have what they call different metabolic rate. So our metabolism is all different. So two people could be here. One is eating meat pie every day. Another one is eating meat pie every day. One person will get fat while the other person is eating meat pie every single day, and the person is slim, right? Why? Because the person's metabolism is so fast, it's burning off everything as it's coming in, and this one's metabolism is probably so slow, and everything that you eat just sits there. And where does it sit? Mostly where you send it to, around the gut, the stomach area, and it keeps increasing. So where are we heading to with all of this? Is to I just want you to, by the time this lecture is over, understand that there's nothing that you do every single day that you're not making fat and storing fat, whether you're fat or skinny. So it's either you have a body that helps you easily burn off fat, or you have a body that just quietly stores the fat, and either you are slim and it's hurting you, or you're huge and the fat is hurting you. Fat is not always the enemy, because by now some people are like, oh, fat is bad, fat is bad. Fat is not always bad. As I said, we have good fat and we have bad fat, even though today's lecture is not so much on defining good fat, bad fat, and the bad. It's just generally understanding fat and why fat is presenting as such a problem. All right. One of the things I also want you to know is, straight up, how do you remove this fat from your body? What do you do so that you don't store this bad fat? First one is that you can stop putting it in. So if you stay away from bad fat, I learned it in school that bad fat actually hurts and good fat helps. So what is good fat? Your avocado, your olive oil, your flaxseed oil. You can literally wake up and drink oil every single day. Those are medicinal fat. Your brain is all fat. Your neuron, the myelin sheet that supports the neuron, is all fat. So you need fat in the body. It's good for cushioning. It helps you so that you're not always cold. So there's room for fat. So that's on the good fat. Then there's the bad fat. That's the fat that hurts. The visceral fat, those cholesterol plaques, cholesterol that actually takes up so much space on the body. And then we are talking about things like liver fat. They call it fatty liver. So the fatty liver, I look at it like the fat that, okay, you know, your liver does a lot of work. So it actually helps with metabolism, detoxification, a lot of things. But when you have fatty liver, this is how I look at fatty liver. It might sound extreme, but it's how I look at it so that I make sure that I don't have fatty liver. Taking your very beautiful liver that is working well and then putting it in a plastic bag and you choke it. So when you suffocate your liver with fat, you cannot have your full liver function. And eventually, if you have fatty liver, sometimes your liver function when you test it might be normal, but long term, you're gonna hurt the liver, or you're not getting the full benefit of having a really clean liver that is working. And then sometimes fatty liver, if not taken care of, can even lead to cirrhosis in extreme cases. But the other thing is that you might end up with diabetes, and everything that liver is supposed to do, the liver will not be able to do it at the highest level. So that's fatty liver. So I just had to mention a few areas of bad fat. That is the cholesterol, the fatty liver, the visceral fat in excess, etc. So these are the fat that kills, okay? It will kill you. And we don't want that. There's a client they brought to our clinic, and he was actually a very active person. He was not excessively fat. He wasn't even fat. And guess what? He developed a stroke. He was in a coma forever, and he didn't quite come out of the coma when they brought the person to our facility. And for me, when I first heard, oh, they're bringing a patient to you who had a stroke, and I'm like, oh my God, this fat, this. Then I was like, okay, let me wait and see. And when they brought someone very slender, I'm like, so the person had such high cholesterol, and the person actually had a stroke from high cholesterol. And it's not, I'm sure it's not just because the person does not have high blood pressure, the person did not have diabetes. The only thing that was bad on the lab was very, very high cholesterol. So they brought the person to us, and to God be the glory. God used our center to bring the person back to life, and the person is doing very, very well today after moving through 3 hospitals and was still stuck between life and death. Now, when the person came, we had to give the person a meal plan, a lifestyle modification plan. But our facility is still a hospital, so all the medication, everything we had to do, including our Oxyvite, every single thing. But the reason for this story is that he was a skinny person. And please, if you're slim, fat is there. If you're fat, fat is there. So if you've not picked it up by now, anybody can be hurt by fat. So that's just the message I'm passing. Anybody. So don't look at your body and say, oh, I'm skinny, so no more fat for me. Or if you say I'm fat and then you even overdo things. We have very huge people with very low cholesterol and very, very low fat, good fat. So it's got to be balanced, okay? So I want you to also have that in mind. Okay, so mentioning all of that, there's the most exciting part of this presentation for me is here now, which is how do you get rid of fat? What should you do? Because I know that you've heard a bit about fat, you know about fat. How do you get rid of it? Okay. I actually forgot to say something, which is that please, This is a community that we are trying to build. A community where we believe in what they call sickness-free body. We are doing our part to ensure that we are well. We can't just sit and do nothing and be so dependent on just hospitals and taking pills. No. Hospitals and pills, there will ever be a need, they will ever be there. But you, listening to me, what are you deliberately doing to ensure that you stay healthy? This platform brings message of healing. It's from years, because it was very, very difficult for us to actually initially get our license to practice lifestyle medicine. But one of the things the government mandated us to do was to document this lifestyle modification and then show that lifestyle modification saves lives. So we have thousands of documents now where we have over 10 years documented lifestyle modification. It means this is how you came, this was the lifestyle you came with, this is the modification we have prescribed, and then now you're well. So we have thousands, if not millions by now, documented lifestyle modification and the lifestyle that people lived. Now, the outcome of this documentation is that we have started seeing trends, we have started seeing consistencies and everything. So we extract from the clinic document and clinic experience that we know like 100% this is factual, and then we now use it to teach the general public so that they don't even get sick in the first place. So please help us spread this word. Don't listen alone. Love somebody enough to share. You just have to share this message. It's the only way. If you've shared this message with anybody, you are the person that have changed the person's life, not just me. It means you care for the person that much. So I want to ask, don't just share, like, subscribe, so that anytime something comes, we'll send you a notification. And yes, we are doing Wellness Wednesdays now, but sometimes we might have really good wellness information. How will you know if you're not connected? So if you don't know how to do the share and subscribe, I'm sorry, this is so funny. My parents, I told you that like closer to 90s, got hooked with watching Wellness Wednesday, and they didn't know how to like and subscribe. So they had to call the grandchild, who is a 4-year-old, so this little girl, anything she watches, whether they ask to like and subscribe, she's always liking and subscribing to. If she gets hold of your phone, your laptop, your anything, she likes and subscribes on everything. So we had a talk with her not to like and subscribe. So far she's been really good on not liking and subscribing everything, but this time she had to be called upon by the grandparent to actually help them like and subscribe. So even if you have to go to that extent, please go. Like, subscribe, share, please, so that we can pass on these good messages to everyone. Thank you so much for doing that. I trust you have. And I also want to thank you for the ones you've done already, because we are growing so rapidly, and I have to take the time to say thank you so much. So thank you for that. I had to take a minute to do all of that. So back to our lecture. Can I ask you a question? How do you think fat, good, bad, any type of fat, how do you think fat gets out of the body? How does the fat come out of the body? Do you know how the fat gets out of the body? Please type anything. I would love to. I read all the comments, I react. Last Wednesday somebody asked a question and I talked through it. So as soon as I saw the question, I actually talked through the answer. So but I definitely go back and read all the comments. So please drop your comments consistently as you listen to the presentation. So thank you so much for what you've dropped. Now let me address it. Fat leaves your body via two routes. The first route is actually by water. The second is by air. So say water and air. Go ahead. Water and air. That's how fat leaves your body. So your body, fat, oh, this gummy, yucky, or nice fat, it leaves your body only by two ways. It leaves by water, it leaves by air. Okay? By water and by air. A lot of people didn't know that. So how does it leave by water? How does it leave by air, or through water or through air? How does that happen? To start with, when you are in the process of losing bad fat, okay, I don't like saying lose weight. You won't hear me say weight loss, because weight can actually be good. When you hear weight, we are talking about the totality of muscle and fat and others. So when you hear weight loss, if you do it the wrong way, you'll be losing muscle, and then you wrinkle, and then you age, and then you will not look good. So that's why I'm more into fat loss than weight loss, because muscle gain is actually a topic to be talked about separately. So when you gain muscle and you're reducing fat, your scale will not move. So for those of you that go to the gym and then you come and climb your scale, especially if you've been consistent and maybe you're lifting a bit of weight, you climb your scale and the scale is just stuck. Oh, talk about stuck. I have a small story there. Sometimes it's just because you're losing fat, but you're gaining muscle, because muscle is heavier than fat anyway. So fat gets out of the body through two ways: through water, air, or the best way to tell you, it leaves your body through urine and breath. So breath and urine. So how does that happen? Number one, when you're in a fat loss program, because we've done so many fat loss programs, there was one we did, it was a contest, and the fastest loser won 1 million naira. The person did not, it wasn't even the person who needed the money the most, but she was so happy as a reward. I think it was just a 3-month program, and then she lost, in 3 months she lost, our highest loser was it 26 kg? Yes, 26 kg, followed by 18 kg, followed by 16 kg. So it happened already on the, we have pictures of this, and I don't know if it's still on our website. It was a big deal. We did a big celebration around it. So consistently, we are always running fat programs. So somebody once asked me, Dr. Susan, how does fat leave the body? So I had to do a lot of research to find out that it leaves through the urine, okay? I said water, urine, and even sweat, but mostly urine, and then breath, air. It gets out through air. There's a lot of scientific or background to that, but that's how it leaves your body. So if fat leaves your body through urine and breathing, guess what? If you're into fat loss program, if you didn't have a day where you're breathing very well, like maybe from running, from exercising, from anyhow you're going to do to increase your breath, that is going to increase your metabolism, that is going to reduce your fat. Then the second is, if you notice, when you're really losing weight, you're drinking a lot of water, and you're urinating a lot. Some of us are drinking a lot of herbal teas, etc., etc. So those are the two ways fat leave your body: urine and breath. Okay, so talk about water. Water is life. I don't know why anytime I touch water, something happens to me. If you notice throughout the presentation, like as soon as I hold water, there's this joy, happiness, there's just something that comes on. And you know what? I think it's the presence of God, because God is everywhere. God is in everything, even in the water that we drink. But more so, I think it's the way of my body thanking me for, or my cells are just like, yay, we are about to get a bath. We are about to get, like your cells are like fish inside an aquarium, whereby what happens if the aquarium doesn't have water? The fishes will dry up and they will die. So your fish in your aquarium, which is your cells in your body, loves water, especially clean water. So I'm going to take, some of us take a shower on the outside, but did you take a shower on the inside? So I'm going to take an inside shower right now in front of you. So I'll drink my water. Oh, I love water. Okay, so as you know, in the evening, we don't overly drink water. We just sip if we are thirsty. We max out the water during the day. So we drink water. Our formula in Dr. Physique is 6 before 6. So try to do like 6 of these between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. It's okay. And then from 6 p.m., you can just maybe flush little by little. So, and if you really need it, but I kid you, you won't even be that thirsty by night. But if you've not drank water from morning till night, because maybe you don't want to be going to bathroom all the time or whatever, in the night you're going to need water. Then you now do all your 6 bottles at night and be up all night urinating. And guess what? Sleep is medicine. You're going to mess up on that. You're going to mess up your heart. You're going to mess up a lot of things. So please try and do your water during the day. So water actually is a very big tool in fat elimination. If not for anything, you just learned now that fat gets out of your body through urine and gets out through water. Okay, so you have to drink your water. Breath, also exercise. So you can now see clearly that anybody that is talking about weight loss, which we call here fat loss, and the person did not mention things like exercise. The exercise is just so that you can use your breath and remove the fat from your body. So the fat is coming out of your breath. So how would you want to remove bad fat from your body if you've not increased your breath? So let's say you're doing normal sitting down and going around your business, which there's no problem with that. That you will use like 1,000 breath. Of course not, you do millions of breaths a day, but for you to understand where I'm coming from. If your normal breath output for the day is 1,000, living normally, if you want to lose fat, it must be at least 2,000 to 3,000. Let me take it to millions. If your normal breath, living normally from morning till night, etc., is 1 million breaths, for you to lose fat, you need to go to no less than 2 to 3 million breaths. I hope I'm clear. Okay, so that's that. These are small secrets that you're not going to. This is from the clinic. This is from experience. So when somebody says, "Oh, exercise sounds so difficult, so wrong," except for some people that are just addicted to exercising, like me. But in general, when you say exercise, your body says no, because It's like, don't beat me up. What did I do? Your body is going to do and say everything to make sure you don't exercise. Don't beat me up. What did I do? You're going to pound me. You're going to shake me. You're going to bounce me. You're going to make me run faster than a madman. Your body says no. So you must never ever listen to that, because if you want something in this life, you don't do it because you feel in the mood or you're even ready for it. You just do it. So that's that. Now, you now know how fat gets out of your body. I know that some people you would think that, oh, by now I would have been talking about blueberries and salad and strawberry. Fat is a huge topic. My own is that I want you to have that understanding, that so that by the time I now tell you what to do, you say, oh, this is for this, this is for this. So now that you know that fat leaves your body by breath, if I now say exercise, will you ask question? No. If I now tell you that fat leaves your body through urine, if I now increase your water for weight loss, are you going to say no? No, you won't. So that's the difference between coming to Dr. Physique and getting clinically validated proper information and just reading something that says go and exercise and you don't know why, or go and drink water for weight loss and you don't know why. So that's that. So water, drinking, breath increase will actually hasten your weight loss, okay, or your fat loss, as we call it in Dr. Physique. Now, another trick to losing fat, and remember I said fat is whether you're big or small. If you want to lose fat, this lecture is for you. I said it from the beginning. You know, I've studied so much around this subject. I've studied so much. Most of you know my background. I have a master's in preventive and promotional medicine. I have a master's in health management, a lifestyle medicine, which I did in Harvard, etc. It's not that's why I don't even bother mentioning it sometimes. It's not about that. I want to tell you that the real thing is, you know, my brother, I also have an MBA. My brother says your MBA on the paper is just MBA. The real MBA is called the street MBA, the one that when you put out your products for sale and they did not pay you the money on time and you need to pay your salary and make sure the business is running, then you started learning MBA. I mean, you've learned it on the job. So what I'm teaching you is things that I learned on the job. So here's a bonus for you. Please repeat after me. Persistency and consistency. Can you say that? Persistency and consistency. Can you type it? Type it. Persistency and consistency. And while typing, don't forget to like and share, etc. Persistency and consistency. I want to tell you a short story again. A lady called me. I don't know if she's on the platform. If you're here, hello ma. She called me last week and she said something to me. She said, Dr. Susan, you know you've not seen me in a while. I said, yes ma'am. She said, you know, I came for the weight loss program, and when I came to the clinic, I got the entire thing in writing, and then your matron recommended, because she's about 107 kg, that she should go for Ozempic or one of those injectables. It's like I said, our facility is a hospital, so we do integrative medicine. So there are cardiologists here, internal medicine, physician, gynecologists, everybody's a pharmacist, nutritionist, nurse, but we practice wellness. We practice water as medicine, food as medicine, etc. But sometimes when there's a need for medical intervention, we do medical intervention. However, any wellness that we prescribe is medically guided. That's the difference in Dr. Physic. We are doing what they call medically guided wellness. So you're doing wellness, but you're medically guided. So why did the matron insist that she should go for those Ozempic-like type of thing? It's because she also had knee injury. So we know that she's not going to be able to exercise. She's not going to be able to move. So we prescribe the injectable, and then we also prescribe sauna to heat up her body, make her to sweat. We prescribe a lot of water, because I told you that when you remove water from your body, urine, sweat, etc., you're going to lose weight. So it's a cocktail of things that we prescribe for weight loss at the same time. And then we put you on what is called thermogenics, which is part of the meal plan. So weight loss is a very big component of Dr. Physic clinic. We even have what they call skinny drips, this, that. But I'll tell you something, I'm heading somewhere. So the woman said, do you remember that I didn't have the money for the injection? Because this injection are like, if you don't have 1 million, you're not going to achieve the result. So she didn't have the money. And I took her somewhere and I sat her down. I said, Ma, you don't have this money and I believe you. And then she said to me, Dr. Susan, I know you're going to say that doing this thing is cheaper than a funeral. I said, no, not today. I want to talk to you. Ma, you really don't have the money to do this? She said, yes. I said, Ma, why don't you start with this part? Start with this. Do the one you can. Just start. So she went and she started. While starting, she's still looking for the money, because she knew that if she takes the injection, it will be that much faster and that much easier. So she was doing, she'll go on the scale, she will check, her weight is 107. She will check. After 2 months, she saw 106. She now knew that, will it be taking 2 months for my weight to be coming off 1 kg? She kept on trying. The very next month, she saw 105. Now listen to this. I don't know what she did. So it took her 3 months to lose 3 kg. And for some reason, she didn't pay too much attention. It was a December holiday. This December that passed, people came home and I don't know what happened. And when she checked the scale again, she was 107 kg. So she sat down and like, you know what? I tried. I work hard. And then she said, you know what? I'm just going to keep doing this. So she kept doing, she kept checking. That 107 became permanent tattoo on the scale. So she said she even moved the scale from one side of the room to another. It was still 107. She decided to change battery on a scale that was already working. It was still 107. The next month, she shook the scale. It was still 107. And she said, you know what? I'm just going to do what this Dr. Susan told me to do. And I don't want to ever see a scale again for the rest of my life. I'm just going to do what she told me to do. So she kept doing and doing and doing and doing. I'll tell you some of the things I told her to do. But she realized that her clothes were loose. And she wear clothes is not fitting lightly. And everything is just feeling better. She's like, I mean, I don't want to annoy myself also. I will not wake up this morning and go and look. So she's like, I will look tomorrow. No, I'll look. Make a long story short, just last week, before she called me, she went and climbed the scale. Guess what her weight is? She saw 97 kg. I'm sorry, 2 weeks before she called me, she saw 97 kg. And then the week she called me, that week, the day before, she climbed the scale, it was 95 kg. So it took her almost 6 months, but she has gone from 107 to 97. That's 10 kg weight loss. And 2 more, that is 12 kg weight loss. And she is so happy. And I say, Ma, she said she's still keeping her money, that if she has the money, she will still take the injection because she must reach her target. She wants to be in her 70s. Why did I stress that story? I want to encourage those of you that are in the struggle of weight loss. It may not come up very fast. And if you make small mistake, that mistake may be so unforgiving. But I want to plead with you, just persist. And for those of you that are not looking for weight loss on the scale or on your body, just know that if you persist and you're consistent with the process, you're healing your body, and your body will thank you later, but your body is thanking you now. So what are those things that you're going to be doing? This is what we are going to wrap up the class with. Okay. Number one. Remember I said persistency and consistency, and you wrote it down and you've repeated it. So the first thing you're going to do, if you're trying to lose this fat, remember they're getting out via urine or water or breath, air, right? So what are you going to do? I wrote this down. The first one is that you will not eat night food. So we've done a lecture on night food. We will do another one. We've done hundreds of lectures, maybe not all on the internet. We started doing Wellness Wednesday since we'll say 2. Then when we moved to Apo, our next location, we now had it physically in the classroom. So Wellness Wednesday has been part of our system. It's just now that we are taking it to the world, and we want you to please share so that they can also benefit from this class. I know you've shared, most of you, but if you haven't, please do. Night food. So any food you eat at night sits around your belly and turns into fat. It may not make your stomach to shoot out for some of you, most of you to shoot out, but these are the ones that choke the organs and cause sickness. Because you eat this food, you generate this fat, you store this fat, and there's no chance of using it. So this is the main reason why night food is so detrimental to health. If you cannot skip night food, then do like my sister used to do. She used to have cucumbers. She called it cucumber salad. She would just cut cucumbers and then put like apple cider vinegar, and she even put pepper and Celtic salt, which is Himalayan, and she'll eat it. So that one is more of a cleansing, because cucumbers doesn't have much of calories, and it's alkaline, and it's really good for the body. So, but just eliminate night food. And that night food includes night drinking, night alcohol, night smoking, night anything, because whatever you do, you go and sleep, it will show in your body. If you see the matron, our matron in Abuja, she looks so good for her age. And I even had to ask her, because I have a full-time job of interviewing healthy people and people that are not so healthy. I even go to the gym. I will see personal trainers. I'll start interviewing them. If you look too good, I must interview you, because I must have what I will come and share with you and what I will practice in the clinic. So that being said, don't eat night food. 2, make hot herbal tea your permanent life partner. You can't leave your house without a flask. You can't. You should always have a flask, something warm or hot to keep the metabolism. And you drink, there's a way you drink a tea, and then as you're drinking the tea, you now see that you're breaking out, little sweats are coming out. that means that your metabolism is really good. So those small sweats that you're breaking, it means you're breaking up the bad fats around the organs, okay? So that is that. The third thing I told her to do is to include thermogenic food. What is thermogenic food? Things like ginger, garlic, cayenne peppers, etc. You have to include thermogenic food. Food that make you break a sweat, food that make you, that heat you up. I know that someone will say, oh, what about if I have ulcer? I answer that question all the time. Do cucumber before and do cucumber after. Find a way to get this thermogenic food into your body. But you can also consult me, separately, reach out to me, and I will also show you what to do. Some people are saying, oh, okay, what if I'm on medication? My answer is always the same. Things that heal you, you should keep them away so that you'll be on medication for life. No, so that the medication can increase forever. Please, I say it all the time. I'm not anti-medication. For those of you who don't know, I don't like overly pushing this end of me. I have a doctor of pharmacy degree, so I'm first a druggist, and I'm a medical professional, so I can't, too much rubbish my industry. There's need for medication here and there. If you don't believe me, have a very severe malaria and see whether you, or maybe an accident on the road, you will need a hospital, you will need medication. So there's ever room. We are just saying that let us not live carelessly and just be strictly medication dependent. Okay? So that being said, if you have issue managing your thermogenic food, reach out to us. Our nutritionist, me, myself, we will help you to get over that hurdle. But you have to increase your thermogenic food. Another thing we told her to do is to make sure she sleeps. When you sleep, you're losing weight. If you don't believe me, check your weight just before you go to bed. And then when you wake up, check your weight. You must drop weight. Because the breath, the small sweat, this metabolic activity going on even while you're sleeping. So that's that. Then another thing I told her was to eat as much lean food as possible and reduce her stress. So that's the end of the solution. So I want to just quickly recap so that we can go and sleep early. In Dr. Physique, our formula for wellness is what? REOWN. And I will say it every single lecture. If you just, I know as I'm saying REOWN, everybody's like, I know it. REOWNED. When I first started the program, I used to just say, the formula for life is own. Own your body, own your health, own it. OWN. And because I knew that OWN brings life. O stands for oxygen. If you don't believe me, hold your neck like this. Before I'm done with this lecture, you're gone. No oxygen is death. So oxygen is so important. We've even learned today that when you're losing weight, oxygen helps you to, like breath, help you to remove bad fat from your body. Water. You see? We talked about the fact that for you to be losing bad fats, you need to be urinating, break a sweat. It comes out through water. And N, which is nutrition. I was a little quiet on nutrition when it comes to fat loss and weight loss. But I'll tell you, you can't do too much under calories and you can't do too much over calories. Oh, I have a fun fact for you. Are you ready? Okay, so you have to say something nice to me. If not, I will not share this fun fact. I'm listening. Okay, I'll say it. I know that you already love me, so I'll just say it. Here's a fun fact. Did you know that 1 kg of your body fat, like if you have fat on your body, write it down, nobody will tell you. Even most gym instructors don't know this. Most. Why? Because when I'm interviewing gym instructors, I ask them questions and they don't have to know. It's not their job. Their job is to assist you so that you don't get hurt on the machine, so that you can encouragement and everything. So those excess scientific things is not their thing. Some of them read up and know, but so far the ones I've interviewed here, I did not get one that knew. But now they're learning a lot, because wellness and health is really coming into their own sector. But trust me, they know the muscle, they know how to get your muscle toned up, they know a lot. But of course, nobody's a monopoly of knowledge. Even I had to learn, so it's not that I've always known. 1 kg of body fat is equals to 7,700 calories. Did you know that? 1 kg, just 1 kg of body fat, scraped up body fat on your body is 7,700 calories. Let me break it down. A typical day, you're supposed to eat, if you're on a normal weight, good weight program, you're supposed to eat maximum of maybe between 1,000 to 2,000 calories. 1,000 is if you're on a weight and calorie deficit meal, but the average is around 2,000 plus or minus 5. So most people survive very well between 1,500 calories to 2,500 calories, with 2,000 being in the middle. Okay, now 1 kg of fat loss, you need to remove 7,700 calories from your body. How do you do that? Okay, think about it. Every day you eat 2,000 calories, every day you eat 2,000 calories, every day you eat. So it means that you have to go for 7 consecutive days first and eat maybe 1,000 calories for even the fat to even start realigning. So just take that as a bonus knowledge. 1 kg of fat, 7,700 calories. So it means it's a must to decrease calories when you're losing fat. Okay? But better, as you're reducing calories, you're also increasing protein. So you don't reduce your protein so that you can have proper muscle. Okay. So that being said, own oxygen, water, nutrition. You see, it comes in everywhere. Even in a fat loss class, own comes in. Oxygen, water, nutrition. So our own is REOWN. So R is for rest. One of the things I told that lady to do is to rest. If she's not sleeping, she will not lose weight. And she slept and she lost weight. She's already 12 kg. And she did this with tears in her eyes because she could not afford the expensive injection. And she said, I can't afford injection. I don't want to die. Let me try. And God just waited for her, and she's doing okay. E, energy. No matter what you're doing, I always tell you, any wellness that I'm prescribing for you, listen to your body. Your body will tell you what it needs. Pay attention to your cellular energy, even your spiritual energy. Just energy medicine works, okay? So REOWN, rest, energy, oxygen, water, nutrition. ED, REOWN. E is for exercise. You can see, to breathe better, you will need to do some form of exercise. And D is for detoxification. Last week we learned that there's no better detoxification than fasting. For the ones you can do by yourself, you do it with water, or you can actually do something like colonic detoxification, whole body detoxification. We are going to do another lecture on detoxification. So the Dr. Physique formula for wellness is REOWN. Rest as medicine, energy as medicine, oxygen as medicine, water as medicine. You can say it with me, as medicine, exercise as medicine, and lastly, detoxification as medicine. So that concludes my class today. I hope it helped. I really hope it helped. And today's class, maybe last week's class was your most exciting class. Today is your 8/10 class. For some people, today's class is my 100/100, you know, because sometimes I finish a lecture, I'm like, oh, that was 10/10 for me. Someone's like, oh, that was 9/10 for me. And then tomorrow I do a class, I'm like, oh, Dr. Susan, I will give myself 9/10. And they call me Dr. Susan, that was like 200/10. I'm like, okay, it's okay, calm down, calm down. Just know that I genuinely care about you. Your wellness is my priority. That's it. So just be well. Remember, I pray for you always. Just do the little that you can do, but do it with understanding. There's a lot of information flying everywhere. I made up my mind. I will bring you evidence-based, clinically validated information so that if you hear me, you cannot make a mistake. You can't make a mistake. We have a whole system and a whole hospital to back up everything that we talk about. So once again, this is Wellness Wednesday, and I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday with a more fiery presentation. Just in the pipeline, things like how to lose your belly fat. If you know anybody with pot belly, or the belly is just shooting out, please, or maybe the person, because I'm going to talk about cosmetic weight loss in my next presentation, like how to just be toned. How, even if you're big, like me, if you look at me, I'm sorry, I'm not overly bragging. If you look at my muscle, you see definitions. I don't need to so this is, so some people are a little bit look big, but it's all muscle, like, you know, muscle, defined muscle. But then if you want to lose those fats, if you don't like your own, this lecture, I believe, is the next lecture, but just stick around. That is why you must subscribe, so that you can get notification early. Please share this lecture so that nobody will have a stroke, nobody will have a heart attack, so that even skinny people will know that they should not be careless about fat. And then even people that are big should know that they should still be careful about fat. But next week, we will talk about maybe the cosmetic, how to get that flat belly. You can, but are you going to? I'll just tell you, in fact, maybe the lecture will be the truth about flat belly. So let's wrap it up there. Have a fantastic night, sleep well, and see you next Wednesday. Take care. See you soon.